Coup at bar panel at 11:30 on Sunday. I mean, it's one of those things, right? We've never had a panel this empty before, so thank you for coming. But we're sure it's because everybody's either still asleep or so hungover they couldn't make it down the river today.
I was going to say, I almost didn't come.
Yeah, right. I know what time you guys were up to. I was getting those texts last night. So this is the bar and restaurant panel. Who's been to one of our panels before? Either at South? Okay, cool.
Pretty good turnout.
Yeah, it's not bad. Repeat customers. That's what our business is dependent upon. So, we're going to go down the line here and just introduce who everybody is. We have at least one new face on the panel if you have seen us before. So I'm Tony Nillis. I own 42 Lounge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Recently, we also opened our second location, 42 Ale House. Lounge has been around for about 3 years now. Ale House, we are at just under 1. So our anniversary is coming up on that. So, Lynn?
My name is Lynn Nillis. I actually own 42 Lounge and 42 Ale House. This is my husband. He has a better elevator pitch for me, and we don't have a lot of time, so Nate.
Okay. Hi, I'm Nate. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I run Battle and Brew. We've been around we celebrate 11 years in March. So we just moved to our new location back this past year. So very excited to be here as well.
My name is Ryan Rehard. I own Headshots Bar and Grill in Wichita, Kansas. So we're the Nubian restaurant. We've been open 2.5 years now, and we're constantly expanding. So.
Hi everyone, Dave Aceto. I own Arcadia National Bar in Portland, Maine, close by. We are a, just kind of geek-centric hangout spot. We are geeky about our craft beer. We have about 16 pinball machines, 16 arcade cabinets, consoles, and a shit ton of board games, and a bunch of nerds.
So, one of the questions I always ask when we start out this panel is, who's thinking about opening a geek bar or restaurant at some point, or is it some... Right, okay, cool. So, when we first started doing this panel, I don't know, 4 years ago? 4 years ago? We had 2 hands come up, and now it's usually roughly anywhere from 30 to 50%. And that terrifies all of us that are sitting up here, because we're about to get a lot more competition, but actually, Dave is the poster boy for that, because our first panel that we did at PAX East, Dave was sitting where all of you are, and he came up and he asked questions of us and stuff like that, and then I got an invite from Dave the next year, hey, I'm running a panel now that I have this place, do you want to be on it? So, that's fantastic. So part of the focus today, what we're going to talk about, because a lot of you have seen us before, is kind of what's different and what's changed over time for us, because a couple of you have seen us here multiple years now. So it's going to kind of be, with the new geek bars that are coming out and what changes we've had to make in order to stay competitive in our space. And I would say I'd probably start with Nate on that, only because you guys just opened a huge new place, right? How is it, how big was the old place and what are you doing now with the new place?
Okay, so the old location that we had in Marietta, Georgia was 2,300 square foot, and that's including the patio and our closet and the kitchen. So the new space is 9,900 square foot. So it's about 4 times the size.
Wow.
We went from 5 people on the staff to 57 people on the staff. Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying to even think about. I went from walking about a mile a night to walking about 8 miles a night, so that's fun. The big thing we were trying to do, we had gotten to the point where we didn't have enough parking, we didn't have enough space for people to game. We were in a spot. Georgia's a little different. We were next to a church and a school, so we couldn't serve spirits. So I had to do a sake-based cocktail program at the old bar.
There's a zone, you can't...
Yeah, you gotta be, it's as the crow flies 600 meters or something from the front of the school or whatever.
I'm so glad I'm in Milwaukee.
Which is funny, we had a patio in the old space just so that wasn't our main entrance and exit, so we could actually serve alcohol at all. So, I mean, it's blue laws. But anyway, one of the big things we were trying to do is really, we had, one of the things I brought to the bar when I took over was a craft beer program, because nerds like geeking out about stuff. So, I mean, what better to geek out about than alcohol? So we tried to match the craft beer program with the craft spirits program. So we had a real big focus on looking at some of the pre-prohibitionary bars and a lot of the cocktail bars and speakeasies in New York and LA and San Francisco and such, And that's kind of the inspiration that we took in building the building. Try to make it look like we moved out of our parents' basement and got our own space downtown and kind of grew up a little bit, you know. So it's cool. We've got 6 console stations with every console that matters. You know, Retron 5s on all of them, Wii U, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4. And then we 52-inch flat screen with surround sound on each one of those. And then we do 24 PCs, and we built all the PCs. A couple of different companies made us some offers and such, but we wanted bigger and better and faster, so we just went ahead and did it ourselves.
So I want to actually, the one thing you mentioned was like the craft beer and cocktail thing. And like, so that's kind of like an industry thing as a whole right now, right? Is that like craft beers are super popular right now, as are craft cocktails. I know that we kind of have one place of each, right? Like Lounge is very craft cocktail focused. It's downtown in the middle of the city. Ale House, obviously by the name, is a lot more beer centric. Dave and Ryan, you guys down there, like, what are you guys doing right now, like, in terms of those trends? Like, are you guys finding that like geeks are following normal bar trends right now, where they're really focusing on those things, or what's kind of the deal there?
I think like being a geek or not, they're still drinkers, they're still customers, and they're going to follow a lot of those trends. But our cocktail menu is really centered around like fun, cool, colorful drinks that people can have, and I think that allows us to tailor to like a video game theme. But a lot of them are traditional cocktails, just with a video game twist, maybe change the color, change the name, and it makes it fun. We actually just converted it into a craft beer. We're actually, after visiting Nate's bar and seeing how well that worked out, we got rid of all the domestics and brought just all craft beer now. So we have 65 craft beers. But the biggest thing for us was that we started super, super small, and a year ago we had 6 people on staff. After next week we'll have 16 people on staff. Like our kitchens expand tremendously. Like when we were going to open, we're 3,000 square feet. We have a 500 square foot kitchen. We do like 40% food now. But I mean, on paper when we were starting the idea, it was like we're going to sell Hot Pockets and Cheetos, microwave food, just like I'll sell pizza rolls and beer, and that'll be great. And now it's like we have a real restaurant. Now we're opening at 11 a.m. for lunch. Now we have 30 sandwiches.
It's definitely been for us too, and it's been like almost, you know, with Lounge being there 3 years now, that people have kind of grown up their drinking. They've leveled up their drinking, right? Phrasing here, but almost like with us, right? Like when they started, they were drinking stuff that was, by all means, terrible drinks, right? And every once in a while, somebody will still come in with like that thing from the internet, like, oh, I saw these Pokemon cocktails on the internet, aren't they cool? It's like,
Can all of you please stop sharing that?
we've seen it 1,000 times,
I'm
and
not
all
going
those
to
drinks
melt
are
down a
crap. You
candy
don't
bar
want
and put it in a cocktail. That's not going to happen. This is how you get diabetes.
That's literally how the crowd has gone too. They've grown up huge. I mean, at the old space we had which some of y'all remember this, we had a cotton candy drink called Rainbow Dash. And I created it and regretted it the second.
I have a couple of those where like people will still order them from old menus, and I'll look at them and I'll be like, no, you really don't want that. Don't drink that. Don't.
We have a book in a drawer of just like all the cocktails that we've done, because people will find a drink that they like that is fun and different, but they don't know what it is, and so they'll order it and we have to go look it up. But that's fun.
Yeah, we try to do just 4 cocktails at a time. Focus on something that maybe, you know, we'll always have a Falcon Punch, we'll always have a Jiggly Punch, but you know, then we'll switch it up with let's put this on for a week or 2 and just like go with it. Try to give people something different all the time. We had one last week called The Salt is Real, because we are all very salty. All the video games we play with like pretzels on the rim. But we definitely play to our population in Portland specifically. Portland's a very craft beer town, one of the highest concentrations of breweries in the States. So, you know, of the 8 taps that we have, 1 is a local cider, and the other 7, the beers are, you know, either they're going to be within 30 miles of the bar, or if it's kick-ass beer, I don't care where it's from, as long as it's good. But look, I mean, there are nights that I want to drink High Life Pounders, and we have that, because, you know, sometimes you can't spend $7 on a beer, you want to spend $3. So it's definitely, you know, catered to the clientele, but, you know, make sure that your product is good.
So, you know, going along to some of the changes that we've been seeing in the industry, obviously we had a lot of hands that came up when I asked who was thinking about opening this. Have you guys, like, a lot of us are known to each other, right? Like, we kind of have a group where a lot of us geek bar and restaurant owners that have been around for a little while, we share information with each other, so.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Right, well, Nate, we just met, like, in real life this week, but we've known each other for a while, so I mean, that's kind of the thing. Do you guys see, what are you doing differently, or maybe is the approach any different now that other bars are starting to show up in the area? Do you have any direct competition, or maybe you didn't before, and how are you responding to that?
All right, okay, I'll make it quick. Yeah, we actually opened our second location in response to a couple of internet rumors that were going around about a couple of places that wanted to open up.
Not rumor, like one literally did open.
Well, they did. They finally did. But at the time, we were kind of looking at it like, okay, there's this giant clock taking over our head, and eventually someone is going to come around and do this with more money, more resources, you know, whatever, and do it better than we already are.
After talking to him for like 2 days now, I'm so glad I live nowhere near Nate, because I would be absolutely terrified if he opened up a place anywhere near me.
For the record, like, Nate is like what I aspire to be. Like,
It's the beard.
Yeah. But yeah, so our second location was very much like what you said. Your expanded location was that we couldn't offer, you know, food. We couldn't offer tabletop gaming in a comfortable environment. We couldn't offer large-scale events. You know, now we have a private party room, which I cannot believe how many people want to book that thing out. And I've got women coming to me about their weddings and things like that, and I can't tell you how much pressure that is.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah. But those were the things that we couldn't do. And then in addition, wanting to stay ahead of our competition really pushed us and made us take that extra leap.
Is it worth the headache to do food? We do not do food. You know, we are a very small bar. I mean, Portland's a population of 70,000 people, like including the outlying areas. We have a 1,000 square foot space, so a little smaller than all of you. And, you know, capacity for us, like what's everybody's capacity? We usually cut off around 60 people, 65.
130.
370.
125 at lounge and
347 indoors, and then about another 75 on the patio and ale house. So it was significantly larger for us.
Right, and so, I mean, every geek bar is going to be a different beast. You know, we are not all the same thing at all. You know, some of us are just...
Did you say gay bar?
Hey, we'll call it the joystick.
There's actually a hipster arcade bar in Atlanta called Joystick.
Yeah, I mean,
I think definitely, absolutely. Like, if you can do anything, like I'm a big numbers guy, and the statistic is like if a customer has anything to eat in your restaurant, they're going to stay an average of 50 minutes longer. Like I can sell you 2 more drinks.
Yep.
So the whole reason that I'm selling you cheese fries is so I can sell you 2 more whiskeys. That's the whole con. I think food is totally worth it. But now that we have like a real, like I didn't even have a dish machine a year ago, and now we have a dish machine, like it's crazy. That's like a huge luxury for us. So like now that we can offer real restaurant food, it feels totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, it's the same reason that you never put a clock in a bar, because you really don't want people to know how long they've been there. Food and water are huge. That stat is absolutely true. If you put water in front of somebody, you make somebody eat, they absolutely will drink more.
Yep.
Like there's no question. We've actually done experiments at our bar before where we just like denied somebody water at their table to see if they would stop drinking and then give it another taste. I mean, we're nerds. We want to figure this stuff out. Experiment. But that stuff's legit. I mean, that's food is absolutely huge for us just because with the expansion, I really wanted to, I brought on a really, really good chef out of Atlanta that I'd worked with in the past, whatever, to help with the kitchen. And then I brought on one of my spirits guys, one of the guys that I used to bartend with, who was one of my favorite bartenders 10, 12 years ago. We really wanted to try to do the fine dining restaurant side as well. So you could come in and spend, you know, some good money and sit down and have some really awesome food. It also opens up to do the themed themed dinners and themed, beer dinners, stuff like that. You actually
Yeah, I actually went to one.
Game of
Game of
Thrones
Thrones
dinner.
dinner.
And it was cool, 10 courses, beers for every course. We did a mead, did a wine. It's just nice, the food aspect. I mean, it's more money.
But it's a totally different ball game though too. I mean, so lounge is alcohol only. We don't serve any food at lounge. It doesn't have a kitchen, where Ale House obviously does. And the number of things that you have to do to maintain that, and your product flow and your waste, and making sure that you're staying profitable in pricing and cost. And food costs vary so much more than beer and liquor costs, right? And it's just, there's a lot more moving pieces. It's much harder. Like lounge, we just ran pretty much on our own forever, and Ale House has a lot more employees now, if only because there's so much more to do. And even with numbers, like our gross numbers are definitely higher at Ale House, and Ale House hasn't really been around long enough yet for us to really know how profitable it's going to be. But from the one thing that I would say, Dave, is that from a profitability standpoint, lounge is way more profitable, even on less dollars sold, simply because liquor is such a higher profit margin.
Yeah, liquor's awesome. In general. I mean, and for our space, it makes sense for us not to do food because there's literally nowhere to do food. Like the basement is full of pinball machines that I have no room.
Do you
So for us,
carry-in or anything like that at all?
What's that?
Do you allow carry-in? Like if I come in with like
Oh yeah, there's a pizza place across the street that probably does like $1 million in business next to us. And like I've gained 30 pounds because of it.
Yeah, we were doing the exact same thing at lounge. We actually had a pizza place that we partnered with that would deliver to lounge when we didn't have a food option
Their
there.
delivery guys would literally do loops. They
Just
would go
between our place,
between
right?
our place and their place, just picking up pizza.
But that was part of it too, right? Is we saw all that money. You said like $1 million, but like we saw thousands of dollars each month going to this pizza place that we were looking for. And that was part of the catalyst too, where it was like, holy crap, like you should keep those dollars. Why are we letting those dollars go away?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the plan. And I would probably stress this for people that are thinking about doing geek bars or a bar in general, is like don't feel like you need to start in this giant place. Look at what Tony and Lynn did. We're in a really small space, and it's great that a year and a half into it that we're profitable, and that's awesome. And like, let's continue to build up a bank account so that someday, maybe we can purchase a building and build a kitchen, and that would be totally badass and great. But for now, like, be comfortable having 65 people in the door. Be comfortable being able to pay your employees and pay yourself maybe every once in a while, and being allowed to go behind the bar and drink as much beer as you want.
But that's the thing too is, and I see him sitting back there right now, but Yoav, he's slinking down in his chair, who used to own the Mana Bar in Australia. He's sitting back there right now. But Mana Bar, when I first found out about Mana Bar, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've done has been based off of what they did, and from all their media releases and pictures and everything like that, I was shocked to find out that it only held like 60 to 80 people or something like that. It was like
massive.
It was tiny. It looked like the place was huge, right? So, I mean, and they opened a second location at one point also. And so, yeah, I mean, there's totally something to that where it's like, don't get so far out over your skis where you're so deep into loans and other stuff like that where you can't handle it, right? Like, do something that's reasonable, do something that is able to be maintained and controlled, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't back you enough in that. Like, expanding is terrifying. Just because of the sheer amount of money you have to spend to fill a room properly to make it entertaining. Because you can have a big-ass room, and I've gone to a couple of other geek establishments around the country that have kind of just done like a warehouse with some tables, and then you can buy some snacks over on the side of the room. And I mean, that's cool, but like I can absolutely do that in my basement. I mean, you gotta be able to build
We've had tabletop places come to our house.
Yeah, why do people come to your establishment? Like, let's say, what can I have at your place that I can't just do at home? Because I can play video games at home, sure, but like, what is different? I mean, for us, it's, look, if you want to spend $80,000 on pinball machines, go ahead, we're not going to do it. But the biggest thing, I think, again, for all of us, we'll probably say this, is it's a community. For me, it's not a bar, it's a clubhouse of like-minded people who want to get together and do things. Most bars, you just go when you drink. At our bars, you go when you actually do something. I can't tell you how many friends have been made at this bar. Like, for me personally and for other people, we have a Facebook group That's not like the bar, it's the Arcadia Looking for Group Facebook, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna be at the bar Thursday and I wanna play Dominion, like, let's go, and 10 people are like, yeah, let's do that, let's get together and hang out. And we do bar field trips that are not at the bar. We'll be like, let's go bowling, let's go to a corn maze, let's go to somebody else's bar. It's just like a group of people that get together and say, this is who we are. It's like little mini PAX. I love it.
Yeah, no, we've done the same thing. I mean, we took, when Star Wars Force Awakens came out, we rented an entire theater. We took 469 people on buses from the bar to a premiere of Force Awakens, right? I mean, and that was something that was so much fun to do. And we've even gotten to the point where we've now, for the second year in a row, we did a Doctor Who themed party at a third-party venue that we had 600 people attend. At that same venue, we did actually a concert with Freeze Pop this last year, where we brought Freeze Pop out of Boston and did a show with them. So, I mean, those are things that don't directly necessarily make us money, but because of that community aspect, we can bring people together that then, in turn, ultimately becomes profitable for the bar when they want a place to hang out.
Well, and we're also doing like a laser tag competition where now we have people representing lounge and people representing ale house. Just a customer can sign up and go battle it out at this local laser tag place. Yeah, if you have a laser tag place, I totally recommend doing that. But I was going to ask you, do you guys partner with anybody else in your community that isn't necessarily a geek bar? Because I would consider us and CMP Tactical Laser Tag, we have somewhat of a partnership where it's like we constantly promote each other. And the way that I look at that is we're building a geek community by working together.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have probably one of the best places to do tabletop across the street from us, and that works out great. So we try to partner with them as much as possible. Any other nerd hub is great because the true experience that we're providing is a place for people to go that don't necessarily feel comfortable in like a nightclub or a sports bar, but they'll feel comfortable in like a geek community. And I think that is the most important thing.
Yeah, I can agree on that. Has anybody in this room been to Dragon Con before? Okay, so it's a convention like this that has about as many people as his town. It's insane, 70 to 80,000 people every year. We run the gaming track for Dragon Con, so that tie-in, I did a social experiment about 2 years ago during Dragon Con, and we kept the bar open for the first time ever during Dragon Con. And we had, I think, we went from our total numbers where we're doing, 1,000 people on a weekend to we had, I think, 5 or 6 total people, and it was the same 5 or 6 each night. It was like the 5 or 6 that just didn't go to con. So I mean, it's absolutely that community is our fan base, and we try to be a part of it every way we can.
We'll sponsor every local convention, anything small, any tournament that we can do. We have to do all of our tournaments at the college now, just because I can't fit 200 Smash players in the restaurant. Like we can't function. So
yeah, we do weekly Smash tournaments now. It's every week on Sundays, once a month on Saturdays instead, and that at Ale House consistently brings about 100 Smash players every single week for like 7 hours. So that's been really good for our business in order to have that community, right, that sub-community as a part of ours.
So we've got our big weekly event that normally pulls the most consistent is we do a Geek Trivia on Wednesdays. And so the first Wednesday of each month, it's themed. So it'll be themed around, like Star Wars is coming out. Let's make this one a Star Wars one, or something like that. And then every other one is just generic Geek Trivia. And the guy that does our trivia, Chef Lubu, if you play League of Legends, you've probably heard of this guy. He was our kitchen manager at the Old Space. He works for our media company now, like our sister company. And he's terrifying the amount of knowledge this dude has in his brain, or his ability to find questions. Like we've got the hardest trivia, and people still keep coming back. Just because, I mean, it's older friends. I can open up Open Table right now and see that we're totally booked for Geek Trivia for the next 4 months. It's gonna be, sorry guys, walk in only,
One of the reasons that like you are going to be a better geek bar owner though than somebody who's like not going to cons and stuff is because you're not pandering to people to come to your geek bar because it's trendy. Like I play in every Dominion tournament we do. I play in every Rocket League tournament we do. It's just like stuff we want to do, and it's we understand it because it actually is our culture, and it's not oh, this is Dave and Buster's, like, go fuck yourself.
I actually started a Tuesday night, I call it Pint and Play, which I think I stole from you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We all do that.
Every time we need an event, I'm always like, or even sometimes like all of our food and drink is named after certain stuff, and it's like I'm really stuck on like what to call this dish. I'll totally look through like your menu, or I'll look through EXP up in Vancouver. Like they have a lot of really good names on stuff, and I'll be like, oh, I'm not gonna directly steal it, but I'm just gonna like almost steal it. I'm gonna steal it.
I want to say they have a cocktail. I don't know if they do it anymore. They did a cocktail a year ago that was. It was called. Oh, it was so good. It was called "What If Zelda Was a Girl." Oh man! I was like, why did I not come up with that?
We did for a long time when we first opened. We did the drink is a lie, and that was just it was literally PBR and a martini glass with like a bunch of fruit. $13, thank you. People still order that. It's fantastic.
We had one bartender who had this whole thing. When he presented it, he'd be like, I want you to experience this cocktail, and as these flavors come to mind, I want you to throw out the first two that come
And
to your mind.
he poured the
And pick
PBR
the
into a
third
shaker
one.
like underneath the bar, so you can see it. He'd shake it a little bit and pour it into the martini. And he's like, oh my god, is this like? It's obviously it's got champagne in it and like bitters. No man, it's PBR. Here's Okay, so we're about halfway through, I think. So I'm just trying to gauge right now, like, who's going to want to ask us questions? Because, like, usually we stand outside for a really long time answering questions afterwards, so
And we'll still be out
yeah. So, do you guys want to kind of jump into that now?
Yeah,
Or is there any pressing things that I didn't address? No, let's do questions. All right. So we have a microphone here.
Yes.
We gotta start eventually, otherwise we're gonna be here with questions like forever.
Before we start this, the one question that I see every single time, and maybe you guys have it, so I'm going to bring it up now. Everybody always asks us, how much money do you need to open a geek bar? We cannot answer that question.
It's dependent on market,
There's-
what your tolerance is.
It's like a child, you'll never have enough money, so just
Whatever you think you need, just add like 50,000.
Yeah.
Just put zeros on the
Just
end.
keep adding.
I thought I had enough when I opened. I ran out of money 2 weeks before we opened, and we put all the food and liquor on a credit card just to make it happen. So you won't have enough. Every time Ryan tells that story, like my heart is terrible.
Have you seen our credit card statements lately? No.
No, they're not great. All right, we'll start on this side and we'll kind of jump back and forth, okay? So, yes, sir.
All right. A couple of years ago, I kind of had the idea of opening a land center. And as I was doing more research, I realized, just having a straight land center wouldn't be profitable, wouldn't last long, with the exception of a couple of large ones. And I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so around that time, we started seeing a lot of the gamer bars and arcade bars popping up. And I guess my question is sort of, for those of you that have video games and tabletop and restaurant and bars and things like that, what's the kind of ratio that you find is successful for maintaining, ample capacity to serve everybody, but still not, lose money on anything?
For us, we're 100% consoles. We have no PCs, and then tabletop is mostly just at Ale House. Lounge tends to be very more console focused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have PCs. We've got 24 PCs, 6 console setups, and we do a ton of tabletop games. Tabletop at our bar is free. It's if you're there and you're drinking, you can absolutely grab a tabletop. As far as percentages, at the old bar, we made a lot more percentage of sales in gaming, just because we didn't have a spirits program. Like he said, spirits profitability is huge. The one thing I can tell you is land centers in a current day and age don't work. I know this because we closed all 8 of them that were in Atlanta, because we have booze. So the way I tell other people about this that email me asking about this, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a land center and selling Cokes and Cheetos and setting up some PCs. Let's say you do $800 in gaming sales for the day, and a graphics card goes down on one of your 10 computers. You didn't actually make any sales that day, So it's all overhead. The gaming side of it is 100% all overhead. If you lose 10 pieces to one of the cool tabletop games you've got, you're out, another $150 buying another one. So literally you're using the thing that everybody has done all these years to where restaurants run on alcohol, percentage-wise, profit-wise, and you're using a little bit of that scraped off extra profit to actually have something niche and cool to come and play and, you know, interest people. That's the way I look at it from a profit side.
So have you like ever, you know, started off with, let's say 10 PCs or 10 consoles and realized this is too many or this is not enough?
Well, I'll tell you this, that none of my regular customers play any of the games. They don't play the tabletop games, they don't play video games. They're geeks, they're nerds, they love all those things, and that's maybe what brought them in the first time.
Yeah.
But that's not why they come back. And the people that are there every day spending money and keeping my doors open, they don't play any of the games.
Also, like a spilled beer on a computer scale.
Yeah.
Terrifying, right?
Mhm.
It's like,
Since March, we've killed, I think our number's up to 35
Ooh.
Logitech keyboards and I think 30 mice just from beer being sold.
I have trash bags.
Yeah.
Black
We've got an
trash
entire
bags
room.
of controllers.
yeah, we do broken controllers.
Yeah.
I just had a ton.
Rock band equipment.
Oh, rock. Don't even, I need to purchase like a separate warehouse just for broken rock band equipment.
I like to do a wall of guitars.
We stopped doing rock band at this new bar just because I was just like, I'm done with it. I'm done with those songs.
Just Eye of the Tiger all day.
Cool.
First of all, I wanted to thank you guys for coming out and talking. I think it's amazing the things that you do, creating a sense of actual community and connection. Dave, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's like mini PAXes inside your city. It's such a powerful thing. And second, actually kind of believing in other people's aspirations and inspiration to do the same thing, I think it's really, really cool. So thanks for that. The question I had was about licensing. So with all the different things you can do, like hosting TV shows or doing Let's Plays or hosting tournaments, have you guys run into any issues or problems with official IP creators? Or is there a process there that exists for what that looks like?
As Captain BMI and all the music guys, those are the ones that will really come and shake you down. Our experience has pretty much been that as long as you're not actually charging to play anything, like we don't charge to play any of the video games or tabletop games or anything like that, most publishers are pretty cool with it. In fact, a lot of, especially tabletop publishers, send us stuff in order to try and get it in front of people. The one thing that we've always paid for in licensing besides music is that for a while at Lounge we used to do like a Monday movie series where we do an actual like you know, Hollywood movie every week on the projector and stuff like that. And we were licensing that through a company called Swank that actually we had to tell them how many people we were going to have in the building that night and how many times we were going to show the movie and stuff like that, and we would pay them a fee for that.
So I found a loophole around that. So we do charge by the hour, plus we have all day passes for gaming, plus we do a month pass and we do a year pass. Our year pass is $1,000. We did it as a joke, and we have like 15 people. So I was like, let me just put $1,000 on video games. So the loophole is, I have all these awesome, ridiculous PCs that are better than yours at home, and I have these really awesome, comfy little console stations. You can rent this space. Oh look, I have every game you could ever imagine as well. You can just have those for free, it comes with it. So that's literally the loophole. I've talked to lawyers about this, and it's absolutely a legal loophole. We charge for our space, and we rent our space by the hour. Right. You can use all this fun, cool shit for free. You know, that's how to get around that.
For like TV shows and tournaments, no Nintendo, YouTube, band hammers coming down or anything like that?
I mean, we pay all our ASCAP and BMI and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, and that covers, usually your like cable or satellite bill for a restaurant or bar is going to be much, much higher because a lot of that licensing is rolled in. So like my package for that stuff at the bar is like twice what I would pay at my house just because of that.
To cover all that, which is...
Dave, you make money off of like pinball and stuff too, right?
Yes, so we own all our pinball and arcade machines because we were nerds before the bar. But that's actually, it's a really great thing to build into a price of something. So, you know, I don't mind taking $1 less on some of my beer prices because I know that you're going to go spend $3 on pinball because why wouldn't you? It's awesome. But like when it comes to games, like we don't charge for consoles at all. I would say the most illegal thing we do is probably, let's see, hold on, I gotta think of which one. Like, we show wrestling pay-per-views, because that's really nerdy. We only, you know, pay $9.99 a month, because it's wrestling.
For the TV stuff, we partnered with a company for like anime, and some of them would just send us the discs and be like, yeah, go ahead and play if we want our content.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
partner with
so
Funimation.
if
If you
you-
ask, there's nothing to hurt to ask.
Yeah, when Legend of Korra was on, like, we would get together on Sundays and watch it. I don't worry about that stuff, we're so smart. Don't
Just
know
whatever
what's
you do, never play Game of Thrones.
Yes,
Yes.
don't play
If
Game
you
of
ever
Thrones.
see that in a bar, it
Don't
is
find you.
totally illegal, and HBO will find you
They
and
will
take
shut
your
you
children.
It's
Which companies are the ones to run away from?
there's a bunch of bars in Milwaukee that do show Game of Thrones, and we get pushback from our community that's like, why don't you do it like they're doing it, or they're doing it illegally? Why don't you do it illegally? Because we're the nerd bar, and people expect us to do stuff like that, and they will find us if we do it.
Yeah, I mean, the fines start at $100,000 for
It's
showing Game
not
of Thrones in
worth
public
it.
space.
I would like to stay in business.
We totally
Also,
did it the
I
first
just
year.
want to point out that this is now the 5th panel that we've done of this.
Something like that.
Every time somebody asks that question, this is the first time we've actually answered that question. We usually kind of
Defer.
Defer
You're like,
from
my lawyer's going to get
Defer
talk
to
about that.
but it's now getting to a
My
point
bad.
where I think everybody, no, it's cool, because I think it's now getting to a point where there's enough of us all trying to do this that it's not something that we're afraid of anymore. So,
That's a big help, thank you.
Thank you.
So when you open up your second location, or say you've had someone leave Atlanta and desperately misses Battle and Brew, what are some of the concerns that you have with maintaining that identity of the first location and kind of meeting those expectations in the second?
That has been impossibly hard.
it's
So,
like bottling air. Like we got it right the first time. Like we did this thing and it magically worked. And when you something, I don't know. It's bottling something that you can't bottle, you know.
like lightning.
Yeah, lightning, there you go. I'm in front of a lot of people, give me a break.
Nailed it.
But yeah, I mean, like, that was one of our biggest fears opening the second location of, like, how do we transfer this from one location to the other? And actually, the answer was you don't.
Well, strictly from a numbers standpoint. So, Young, who has now left, and he was sitting back there earlier, when they opened their second Mana Bar location, it was in a different physical city, right? Like, it was across the country from where they were. Both of our bars are in the Milwaukee area. They're literally 7 minutes apart by car. And so what we've tried to do is establish a very different identity for both places, right? Lounge tends to be more the geek nightclub. Like if you go to our Facebook page and you look at the party pictures and stuff like that, we have DJs and lasers and stuff like that where people are dressed up like their favorite anime character dancing to it, right? Whereas like Ale House is kind of the more chill, you're having dinner or ordering a pizza and playing a tabletop game. We do, however, though, we're extremely event-driven, as I think pretty much everybody up here is, because that's that reason for people to come out and do something instead of sit at home. And we can see that when we have events and such like that, if I'm down $500 at one place for the night, I probably found that $500 at the other location. So we definitely trade some money back and forth, and we are still, 9 months into the new location, trying desperately to get that identity solidified for each place so that there is reason to do both of them at all times, right? That it's not the same, that it's different.
But I will say this, like, we do trivia at both locations, for instance. We were kind of worried about, like, okay, well, if you got one trivia, why do you want the other one? Well, because they are different enough, they're run by 2 different people, and...
One's a theme trivia, one's a general
Yeah.
trivia.
And if you don't like trivia, I would rather that you went to my other location than to, like, Applebee's that night. I want to give you an option. I want the only thing that you think about that night. You want to go out, you want to get dinner, or you want to have a good time with your friends. The only 2 options in your head are one of my 2
Right,
places.
it's not am I going to 42 or this other place, it's which 42 am I going to tonight, right?
Yeah,
Like that's what we wanted to do.
So we definitely have it on the radar. That's one of the reasons I'm here at this convention is we are planning on eventually doing other buildings. My big thing is there's no way I'm going to do it anywhere in the Southeast just because we already have basically the mecca for Atlanta for the geeks to go to and I don't want to compete with myself. So it's going to be either Northeast, West Coast, somewhere way far away from Atlanta if we do it again. But we can hope. It sounds exciting.
Stay out of Milwaukee.
Stay out of Milwaukee.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. My question is there any sort of formal education or resources or anything like, I can probably get this all the time, but it's like, is it is it worth getting a business degree or getting some sort of business education before you start?
I have a day job. I'm a sysadmin. I have a day job.
I have a journalism degree.
I was going to say the biggest thing I can say to that is the same reason why I tell everyone I ever meet to never open a bar. I've been in restaurants for 17 years. We were not profitable until we started actually looking at it from a restaurant's perspective and not just a hangout spot for geeks. I would say if you're looking to do something in the hospitality industry, go get a job in the hospitality industry and do it until you absolutely hate it, and then do it until you love it again before you can even approach this. That would be my advice.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
yeah. There is formal training. Like I have a business degree, and then I also went to the PBSA in Kansas City, the professional bartending school. So like I have a mixology certification. Like you can do that as well. It's like a tech school. Well, you'll learn to make drinks, but a lot of that goes right out the window once you get behind the bar the first time, and you actually have to keep up with traffic. Or every bar, I've worked in so many different restaurants that every drink is going to be different, depending on what custom cocktails you have or what kind of customer you have coming in. So the formal training is great, but the experience is worth way more.
I would say what translates in my past most to what we do now is I was a camp counselor for 8 years. And like I honestly think like I would hire camp counselors because it's honestly being a camp counselor for adults. Like, hey, let's play games. I think you should meet this person. Let's make friends. Strangers talk to each other. Like if you work the front of house, and again like something I would love to stress to you is if you are opening a bar, find a partner to do it with you and make sure that they are good at the things you are horrible at. There are two of us that own Arcadia, and the other owner does not talk to people. I don't think he knows how to, and that's totally cool. I love talking to people. I hate numbers. He loves numbers. Like, it's perfect. So, like, you know, find what you're bad at, realize it, like, be able to admit it, and then find somebody who can help you with that.
I'm always jealous of people having two owners. Like I'm jealous of 42 that has that because I do everything by myself. And I have to learn everything. So I gotta learn accounting, I learn marketing, learn graphic design, and it's like I'm trying to find a person to replace. I have to find 20 people to replace everything that I have to do.
Write a really good business plan. There's a program out there. It's all online. It's called liveplan.com. And it's like $19 a month. It walks you through absolutely everything, and it makes you consider questions that you never would have from a business standpoint.
Go get a mentor, get a business mentor. Score is really good.
Score is good, yeah.
Business Plan Pro is really good. It's free for a lot of students, or you can pirate it. But it's like a lot I would say to do that for that $3 program or anything. But it's like a wizard. It's like a wizard. Just fill in the information, and it does ask a lot of those questions. You're like, I didn't think about what is a pro forma? Like, what are these things that I'm going to be spending money on? So there's always going to be things that you think of when you start writing down. I need tables, chairs, and burgers.
You know, we're just working from restaurant experience, myself and the guy that works under me with the spirits program. We both we're close to 30 years experience between the two of us. If you combine ours, then we've got a guy that's way smarter than all of us, John Ranowski, that he does all of our tech and PCs. And you have a game question, go to the guy with the long hair. I'll make a cocktail for you. Hiring smart people is absolutely key.
Okay, next over here.
Yeah, do you guys do much with esports viewing parties? And
Yes.
you find that's pretty good draw?
Yeah, and I've really missed a League of Legends for the last couple of years, posting all of their tournaments at like 3 a.m. our time. Like, seriously.
Yeah, that's killed it last
Yeah,
year.
we didn't. Yeah, that was.
We did the Dota 2 Invitational, and we had like 60 people show up. When we were open on Sundays, we're not open on Sundays anymore, but when we were open on Sundays and we did Super Bowl, we had like 8 dudes show up.
Yeah.
But we'll have a ton of people come out to watch League of Legends or Dota or Smite or things like that. So
Esports is huge
yes,
for us.
that's what's on our projectors behind us.
Smite World Championships just happened in Atlanta this back in January, and we were at capacity to the point that we had to have somebody at the front door saying, "No, I'm sorry, you can't come in." The entire week. So I mean, esports is huge for us, and that's kind of we've set up our building around that. You know, we use an HDMI matrix so we can show 32 different streams in the room at the same time if we want. You know, just so we can have that one guy that wants to watch Hearthstone when League of Legends Worlds are going on. Like, there you go.
We're probably the only bar in the town playing esports.
that stuff is not big for us. We do, like, of the 4 TVs we have, 3 of them are for gaming. You know, there's a PS4 at the bar, PS4 and a Wii, other places. And then the other TV is for streaming. Like, we just have it on Twitch all the time, and depending on like what's going on. If there's, you know, a big event, we'll have it on, but it's not what draws people in. I think it's, you know, just the geek culture.
But your
It's nice
wrestling
to have-
thing is the
Oh,
coolest.
wrestling night is fucking off the hook. Okay, so we have this event that we do. It's called Brewomania, and it's during WrestleMania, and we get 7 local breweries to brew wrestling-themed beers. So we had like a Slim Jim flavored beer, and like we go out with the brewers we brew. There was a Samoan drop that we brewed with Samoa's Girl Scout cookies. That was awesome. And it's the drunk. It's just gold, right? Yeah. There's a brewery called Austin Street near us. They did an Austin Street 316. The drunkest I've been at the bar. Oh my god, I was like picking people up over my shoulder. It was fantastic.
That's your question.
That's a great answer, thank you.
So Kickstarter, yay or nay?
Yay, we did 25,000. Be prepared to like throw that last 3,000 in yourself though.
Did a Kickstarter fail? Didn't know what I was doing at all. Had no idea. We might do another one to expand, to get into space now that we have like substance to show people. Because before it was just a picture, it was just like a video. You can find it, it's awful. The video is just me in my apartment saying like, hey, give me money for booze and video games. These are your olds.
I mean, the thing with Kickstarter is though, don't make a Kickstarter and just like sit back and relax. You have to be out there. If it's a 60-day campaign or whatever, be every day. Be out there promoting it. You know, go to radio stations, go to newspapers, go to local businesses, go to comic book shops, go where there are nerds, go to Reddit, go to Pornhub. I don't care. So, like, just promote your Kickstarter every day, and you know there are certain rewards that work better than others. Again, like have somebody in your back pocket for that extra. Like, if you again with ours, $25,000. We were at 23,000 with 2 days left, but I knew that in my back pocket we had $2,000 to spend to make sure we get the other 23,000. So yeah.
Well, was that before or after getting any sort of loan from the bank?
We did not get a loan from the bank.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's exactly
So we were 100%.
I spent all my money.
Privately funded. We've got a father and son that are basically our silent owners, and they have really nothing to do with the inner workings of the bar, but they have the bankroll in the back. So you know, they're my bosses as far as that aspect goes. But I have seen bars absolutely do great. Cloak and Blaster down in Tampa killed it on their Kickstarter. So yes, it's absolutely an option. The only thing I can warn you and make sure you do proper is if you're going to guarantee anything to people that win this, make sure and actually be ready to cough that up, because I've seen at least a bar, and I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's at least one geek bar that was actually kicked out of our group as far as, you know, information sharing and stuff like that, because they did a Kickstarter, they raised a lot of money, they actually did a lot of fundraising ahead of time. They didn't deliver, and they were starting to get a lot of backlash in their local papers and nationally, and all of us in the group really distanced ourselves from that, because that's not what we want to be associated with.
Yeah, if you're going to make promises, you
have to deliver.
You got to hold them, yeah.
For us, we've never done a Kickstarter for either lounge or ale house. We're 100% self-financed. We have no loans at all. That means that things are really tight right now, especially with 2 locations. However, it also means that we make all the decisions. There's nobody telling us what to do. You know, like, you can't do meat on a stick day. That's not a thing. And it's like, yeah, it is. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you get a little more room if you don't have anybody else controlling. For us, it was lounge. We financed ourselves, and then lounge ended up financing ale house for us.
awesome. Thank you. Sure.
So I have kind of touched on this a little bit here and there, but I'm considering a combo geek bar with something else like a bookstore, because like when I want to read, I don't want a thing of coffee, I want a glass of wine. So what kind of advice would you have for something like that has a business like a bookstore on the side that would be available to minors when you're serving alcohol in places like that? Would you get some sort of bouncer? Would you have cutoff hours? what kind of thing would you go for when you have minors involved?
In Kansas, we have like really funky drinking laws. It's really going to come down to what your state allows, what your city allows after that. And that's going to restrict when you can have people in the building, what you can serve, and to who and during what times. That's all going to be up to your state. You're kind of bound by that. We have seen like there's board game cafes popping up that are kind of like that, and I think those are really, really cool. I can see those, and those are looks. From when I look at it, I'm just like, man, that would be way easier to start through the whole restaurant, the whole bar, all the stuff. I can just do college board game cafe. Yeah, but I've been seeing those pop up, and I think that those are going to be successful.
I think because liquor is what makes you money, you need to cater to that first.
Yeah.
So that's why we are 21 plus at all times, except for Saturdays from noon to 4 when we're all ages, but we do not serve alcohol. It's basically just like, hey kids, come on in, this is a really cool collection of games. Like, we wouldn't have been open anyway during those hours, so if somebody comes in and is like, hey, can I get a beer? I'm like, no.
Yeah, we were all ages until 8 p.m. at the old location, and that was, I got tired of babysitting, so I was like, I run a bar, I'm gonna make more money off of here. And really, it's because a 12-year-old has no money to spend in a business, so I don't really need you as a customer. Love you, man. See you in like 8 years.
I really agree with pretty much everything that they said. The other thing that I would say is in the Milwaukee area, and I'm absolutely not bad-mouthing them because it's a lovely place. People are very nice, and I've been there before. But there is a competing geek bar that's popped up in the Milwaukee area, and even though they're great people over there, it's very apparent when I go there that they are trying to make a geek space first. And they're running the bar and restaurant side of it simply to pay for a place to play tabletop games, right? Where we really try to focus on making sure that it's a good bar and restaurant experience first, and that the geek thing is just kind of the theme for the bar and restaurant. And that's a very important distinction because I do worry very much about their longevity based on their approach right now. And actually, we've seen a lot of our customers that were maybe problem customers for us. Problem being that they would come in and spend 8 hours at a table and order 2 sodas all day, no food, no liquor, anything like that, right? They're taking up space and resources and not putting anything back in. Those people have all migrated over to that other place. And that's fine by us. Like, we're actually happy that that has happened as far as we're concerned. But at the same time, that goes along with the type of space that they've created, right? I mean, they've created a space where that sort of thing is more the vibe of the place, and that's absolutely not what it's
if you got tons of money to throw away and that's what you want to do, great, go for it, But if you need to stay in business, you have to focus on the things that are going to keep you there. The only example, what's the one in Seattle that was like a store and
Cafe Mox, if anyone knows Cafe Mox in Seattle, that's fantastic. And that really is, they're a full game store, plus restaurant, plus bar. They have done absolutely everything right. They have 2 locations.
It's amazing. Store and Barnes & Noble and alcohol all together. It's really well done. And it's the kind of place where, like, I would want to go get a glass of wine and read a book for a while,
They've absolutely done
check that out.
But part of their thing is, too, is that they've made a lot of their money on online Magic sales, and card game sales, right? So they have that business piece that they have on lockdown, which is how they are making their money in order to support these other things, right? So that's really the key of it, is that when you're opening any place, no matter what the business is, nerd bar, anything, you need to make sure that you're treating a business like a business, or you're not going to be there very long.
Yeah, it's kind of what you said about the treated restaurant mindset.
I had a small thing to add about the book thing. If books are your thing, we did a secret, like, let's get info from our clientele before we let them know that we're moving. So we basically had these little comment cards we started doing about a year before we moved. And we read through all of those, and I literally put together a lot of info from that. And one of the things people kept asking for is a bigger library of books and geeky stuff to read while they're sitting there drinking, which I was like, I mean, that's great. So, right before we opened the new space, we put it out on Facebook. We're like, hey, do you have a bunch of stuff that you really think would be interesting and you want to donate to Battle and Brew and have your books at our bar? And I had to, 2 days later, say, we don't want any more books. So, I mean, yes, we have a lounge. You can go up and sit down and read a book if you want. There's some really cool, like, collector's item kind of stuff up there. But, I mean, it was all free to us because the community is just awesome.
So again, kind of with have the games available, and then the drinks are the main focus.
Yeah,
Plus.
Definitely.
Profit makes you
Know where you're going to pay your bills from.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Okay, thank you.
We have time for a couple more quick, we're getting tight on time, but again, we'll probably be outside afterwards answering more questions. So.
Cool, so I was gonna ask you guys, so we were gonna start like a cafe / craft beer place, focused on community, and so we're looking around different communities. Just a couple of weeks, we're like, yeah, let's do that. Do you see some sort of minimum thing for the impetus to really kind of get people coming back? Like if it's a small place that maybe sits like, 40 to 60 people, you have craft beer and everything, you maybe do tabletop stuff, maybe FTV. But is that just like not going to fly as a...
You can have a small place. Like your four walls are your most important form of marketing. Like you double your money by getting the person to come back in a second time. Like if they had a good experience and they remember that experience, they're going to come back. And that's going to be your most powerful form of marketing. That's going to be the most powerful form of the community. Is they said, this place is awesome. I want to tell my friends about this. So you can start small.
The word of mouth is huge.
Just don't be a space though. Like don't be a bar and some tables. Like you be the bar. You go talk to people. I think the personal element is the most important part of this. When I sit in the bar on a Thursday night and I can tell you 80% of the people's first and probably last names, you have to work to make your space alive. Don't just let it sit there and expect it to work itself out. Make it a living space.
That's so true. You kind of have to be the face of your business. I mean, I've run into a ton of people just wearing a Battle and Brew shirt at this convention. They're like, whoa, you're the guy from Battle and Brew. And I was like, whoa, how do you know what I am? So being a face and being a part of it, and like actually sitting down and gaming with folks and stuff, that's huge.
If you know their names, you'll make more money off.
Absolutely.
And as long as your business plan too, you must make a business plan and you work all those numbers out ahead of time. There's a place in town near us that it's a martini bar that is literally, their capacity is 15. After 15 people, it is full. It's tiny. It's the size of a closet, and they're open for 1 day a week, and they make money. And it's you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like that can be a thing as long as you have all the numbers worked out where you can do that, and you're in a spot where either your bills are paid and maybe you're making a little bit extra on top of that, right? So it's kind of up to you to work out those numbers ahead of time. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Also, your shirt's attractive. So you got that from Booth, and I know that you got that from Booth because I bought one of the stretch canvases of that same picture. It's 4 foot by 3 foot, and it hangs in my hallway. So I have that exact shirt on my wall right now.
Thanks.
Anyway, your question?
I'm actually looking to relocate to another state, and I was wondering if you guys knew of any tools or like a way to get an idea of the demographics of the area you're moving to for starting a business.
We did a lot of meetings we were moving from Marietta to new incorporated Sandy Springs, which is totally different government system, but still awful laws because it's Georgia. So we did a lot of city hall meetings and such like that with the Chamber of Commerce to just ask questions and learn if it was going to be smart for us to do that. I would definitely just talk to the officials. They like to talk.
I was gonna say, go to the city first, check out other nerd clubs that are there, and ask like, hey, what's going on with this? Where do you guys hang out? What's going on with that?
Yeah, city officials will give you all the information that you need. That's their job. That's what they're there for. And talk to other business owners in the area because you'll find out things like, oh yeah, they were gonna put in this road and then they totally screwed it up and we saw a different business. Like things like that where you're like, oh, okay, so the alderman's really cool. But, the police are jerks and they have nothing to do, but, I don't know, sit outside your bar and wait for drunk people.
For us, it was also,
they do
our
that.
crippling alcoholism also led us into a lot of other bars to do our own research. So, okay, that is our time for this session. We will be out just down a little bit so we're not right in the way of the enforcers here. So if you're in line, I'm sorry, we will answer questions, but let's go outside and do that, okay?